As mentioned before, all animals belong to a kingdom, the Animalia kingdom, and then there's the phylum, the class, and the order. And as we heard in the video about dragonflies, this helps us identify and point out particular and specific animals. The common frog of the Animalia kingdom, the Chordata phylum, Amphibia class, and Anura order is found throughout Europe and can be found with ease in the marshlands of Scotland. These frogs inhabit lands north of the Arctic Circle and as far west as Ireland. Unfortunately for those in the Americas, Asia, and African continent, this frog is not to be found. However, there are plenty of wondrous frogs around the world, which we will see later. Adult common frogs have a body length of around 6 to 9 centimetres, or 2.4 to 3.5 inches. The colour of these frogs can vary from olive green, grey-brown, brown, olive brown, grey, yellowish, or reddish brown. Yesterday I actually came across a reddish toad. The wet Scottish weather was perfect for spotting these amphibious beauties. Toads, like frogs, are of the Amphibia class and Anura order. However, frogs are of the family Ranidae, whereas the toad is that of the Bufonidae family. The common frog can breathe through its skin. This enables it to hibernate for several months beneath piles of mud and decaying leaves underwater. Here's an example of a still of a common frog. The common frog comes to ponds during the spring, but spends much of the rest of the year feeding on dry land, in woodland, gardens, hedgerows, and tusky grasslands, or marshlands. Speaking from my own experience, wet weather is often good for spotting frogs, and sometimes the evenings are also good for spotting them. However, you can find them in or around ponds on nice sunny days too, which is probably more desirable. Frogs are a familiar inhabitant of ponds, where they lay their eggs in big clumps of spawn. They feed on a variety of invertebrates and smaller amphibians. Female frogs are typically bigger than male frogs. Again, you can see the coloration in this picture. They're not the most exotic frog, but they are quite remarkably beautiful. A female frog can lay up to 4,500 eggs in one spring. And I'll just show you this here. Frogs begin their lives as little dots or embryos inside this transparent gelatinous substance. Some researchers tell us that from a spawn of 3,000 eggs, only around 5 tadpoles will become adult frogs. This is true of common frogs, which do not look after their young. However, there are frogs that make remarkable parents. You can discern in these eggs how the black tadpole, the little black dot, unfurls inside that egg as it develops the embryo. You can start to discern a head, a body, a tail, and then they go and they feed on the egg there. Okay, so there are other interesting frog types around the world, and this one here, this is a prime example of one of these interesting frog types. This one's called Gunther's marsupial frog, and it's found in Colombia and Ecuador, and is the only frog known to have true teeth, which can be found on its lower jaw. The presence of true teeth in a frog is remarkable. But what's also fascinating about this frog is its ability to carry its young in a pouch in its body. Eggs develop into froglets on the back of the female and may never actually swim in water themselves, but emerge from their mother as developed froglets. Here we see an example of a Goliath frog. The Goliath frog is the largest of the order Anura, which means it's bigger than all frogs and toads. Here you can see on the lap of this child, this massive frog, the Goliath frog, at 33 centimetres or 13 inches and weighing in at 3 kilograms or 7 pounds, it's the king of the pond. But I sure wouldn't want to kiss this frog. It's known to eat small turtles. Again, just look at this image of this man holding this frog. Truly is a giant in its order. You're not likely to find one of these Goliath frogs unless it's a pet or you live in its environment in Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. Here's another example of a frog here. This is an African clawed frog. You can see its little hands. The African clawed frog is a favourite in biological studies. These frogs can be kept as pets here in the UK. In fact, I used to own some myself, but they're illegal in some states in the United States of America as they breed rapidly and decimate local biospheres if they escape. What fascinates me about this frog is that it has no tongue, and so it has to shovel food into its mouth. And as you can see, those little hands there, it uses them for shoveling the food into its mouth. It's quite amusing to watch. Now, I owned this kind, the albino, but you can see here on its feet these little black claws. I'll just show you with my pointer. These little black tips here. They don't actually hurt you, but I'm sure they can use them for defense against other amphibious and aquatic life forms there. Now, this frog lacking a tongue, it seems so strange, especially to those of us who's, we've conceptualized or always imagined the frog to have this tongue that it uses to smack flies, It's truly a fascinating little creature. It's also quite cute, isn't it? Now here, a recent kind of frog, known as Pedopteran amonensis, was discovered by a US-based team of researchers. At 7.7 millimeters long, it's about the size of a fingernail. These little guys are found in Papua New Guinea. Their remarkable biology testifies of how enchanting our world can be. Bear with me. Here we are. Now what this is the Alaskan wood frog. I want to mention the wood frog of Alaska, which is known to actually freeze solid in the icy cold conditions of the Alaskan winter. But extraordinarily, this frog actually thaws and survives these harsh conditions, thanks to its highly sophisticated design. The Anura order, particularly frogs, are amazing creatures, and I hope this video emphasizes that for you. Here we can see the frog emerging after being frozen. Its blood circulates, it starts to take in those deep breaths there, and then it emerges. Next time I'll be researching the butterfly. I hope to see you there. All the best, my friends.